Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Each on His Own TV. One more video to go after this one, but I'm here with a very special guest, the OG of the YouTube community, Dan Lawless from West Ham Fan TV, Lawless Live TV. Dan, how are you doing, mate?
Yeah, good, mate. Excited to talk about my beloved Real Betis today, obviously. Got a
Shout
cup
out Real
final.
Betis. Come on, Pellegrini, sort it out for us. You know what I mean? But yeah,
Yeah.
I agree, mate. Let's hope they can stop Chelsea from winning the Conference League and we remain the only English team to win it. Dan,
100.
let's talk about West Ham, mate. Right,
Oh,
what a year. Right, I tell you what, we'll go through stages on this one. Talk to me about last summer, what you thought of that window.
do you know what? At the time, I was happy with the summer for the most part, apart from missing out on Duran and the younger striker. On paper, the names we got, I was happy with Wan-Bissaka,
Yeah.
Todibo, Somerville. I thought we got some really good players in. Apart from just leaving ourselves short up top. But hindsight's a wonderful thing, and you look at it and you go, and that was a concern at the time, actually, was age. One thing I thought back then is, okay, we're going for experience now because we're in this transitional period, so maybe they're not trying to rebuild the whole thing. But the lack of pace in the team and the way the midfield was neglected, it's evident in the season. That's been the big issue for us. Pace and the midfield. That's
Yeah.
what's ultimately led to the horrendous season. And plus, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, how bad our defense is? You could probably blame some of that on the state of the midfield. But yeah, defensively, I mean, we'll go on to talk about the start under Lopetegui. But yeah, we spent a lot of money, and we didn't really create a balanced team. And I
I,
think that's
I completely agree with you, mate. I completely agree with you. Like when you look back at it now, like, and you see how flat that midfield is, how slow that midfield is, it's criminal, isn't it? This, you know what I'm saying? It's like it's right. I'm actually glad it's over. Like with regard to that, he can sort of reassess it. But I agree with you. The window. What would you have rated that window out of 10, Dan? Before we sort of get onto Lopetegui.
I'm trying to remember what I rated it at the time. It might have been like a 7 at the time.
Mm.
Again, looking at the names, looking at the players we had, and we're like, okay, as well, because this was on the back of Kudus just had an amazing season.
Yeah.
I didn't know he was going to drop off. So I'm like, okay, we're adding some quality to a few of these qualities. So you got Bowen and Kudus and Paqueta in the first half of last season. Them as a front three were excellent. So it was on that basis. I would definitely, again, hindsight's a wonderful thing. I would definitely drop that down. And this is the thing, like, we're fans. We're not paid a lot of money to have the vision and oversee the rebuilding of the team. And the fact that we spent 150 million pounds to build such a slow and unbalanced team is criminal. And
Mm.
I think it comes down to a multitude of things. But again, rather than just have one person in charge over the decisions, we've got too many cooks in the kitchen. And that's what I think we saw with that squad. And you can see it all over the place.
Completely agree with you, mate. I couldn't agree. I couldn't disagree with you at all on that. Too many cooks, small the broth, and they did last year. Let's get into this with Lopetegui. Right, we hired him a few weeks after we obviously finished the season. What did you make of the appointment, mate? First of all,
Yeah, my initial reaction, I wasn't happy. It wasn't who I wanted. Was far from one of the names that would get me excited. I just didn't get it. I didn't see the point of getting rid of Moyes or letting Moyes go his contract just to go and get a Lopetegui. This was a chance for a fresh
yeah,
start, and Lopetegui was anything but fresh. However, I wanted to give him a chance. I mean, he seems like a great guy. So as you do, and this is the thing, whenever I say these things, I'm like, I don't know why we're signing Lopetegui. And was like, oh, just get behind him, just get behind him. I do, like, I just have to give my initial opinion.
yeah.
But when he took the job, I was like, right, boom, let's go Lopetegui. And I went too, I got behind him too much, I might say.
Uh,
So yeah, it was weird appointment.
I do remember it last year because some people were like, they didn't know how to feel about it. Do you know what I'm saying? They didn't know how to feel whether to back him or they was against him or they. Do you know what I'm saying? People were so much on the fence with the appointment, and the appointment was supposed to be the next level. Obviously, I look at it right now and I blame Sullivan on that. I think the appointment was poor. I think you've gone cheap to try and get away with it, and you've been found out this time. And at last, he has actually been found out because if Lopetegui would have worked, everyone wouldn't have moaned about the appointment. But I think we all knew it was there was only one way it was going to go. It was going to go down pretty fast.
I do blame that bloody Gwilym Bag or whatever his fucking name was. He went on the West Ham channel. Yeah, he went on a West Ham channel. He hyped him up to the moon. He started to turn me around on him, and he made me start to think, oh, maybe, maybe he knows something we don't. Maybe there's something there. Okay, let's see what he's cooking. And he sold us a bag of lies, Gwilym Bag. And he was still, after we got rid of him, still adamant that Lopetegui was the man, despite what we'd all just seen.
Yeah, I actually agree with you on that. He did sort of sell us a dream. I remember saying coming out on Twitter, and he was saying about the fans and all that. You're gonna be entertained and all that. Fucking by far was entertained. Was getting hammered. Do you know what I'm saying? What did you make of him, mate? Obviously, he come in, he started off the season, and it was awful. Let's be honest.
Yeah, it was. I tried to pick out the positives early on. I tried to, usually give time. Okay, it's got a gel. We're in a transition. But he just never seemed to learn his mistakes. I never saw any improvement. Like there were no signs months in that, okay, you're starting to see what your best team is. Constantly like making crazy, like 3-4 player subs every week. They're starting the lineup, chopping and changing on a regular basis. Backline was never consistent. So it was just to the point of, well, where can I see the signs that okay, you're something, you're learning something from this team, like whether it's not necessarily winning games or going on a winning run, but something's improving. But no, it was like it was sort of carried on. Like I didn't see anything different from the second half of last season under Moyes into Lopetegui, only the fact of the extreme substitutions, which at first was refreshing, right? Oh shit, he sees the problem at half time. And he's making the changes. Good. Under Moyes, wouldn't do that so much. So it was refreshing at the time. But we were leaking goals still like crazy. Still passing it sideways and backwards constantly. But even worse, like we would just do the same thing. The high line. We'd do a high line now. So we was doing like Moyes ball, but with a high line. And that Chelsea game is evident. And I don't know why nothing ever changed. Like Mavropanos constantly caught in no man's land, all over the top, bosh, goal. And then that happened like 2 to 3 times in one game. And it happened consistently. So what was he doing? What was he telling the players?
Chelsea for me was the worst game under Lopetegui. That like worst defeat. Like don't get me wrong, we've got hammered in games against Arsenal, Liverpool, City. Like I can understand that, but that Chelsea home game was the one where I just looked at it. And I can still picture Alvarez running back, and he's just running, and he's just like he's in quicksand, and he's nowhere near getting back there at all. And obviously Jackson just runs through twice, and obviously Palmer scores in the second half, and that was painful, I must admit. Is it all the blame though on Lopetegui on this one though, right? Or is it some of these players? Because when we look at it right now, people will say some of these players are not good enough, Dan.
Yeah, 100%. In the whole situation, I think when it goes back to Moyes last season, when it goes to Lopetegui, to Potter, I think the players have been getting away with it big time. And, some of the games I've seen, and it's been really highlighted under Potter, because we've seen under Potter the even more extreme state where like the big games like the Arsenals and the Liverpools, the Man Uniteds, the big teams, they turn up. They want to turn up for those teams, the Southamptons and the Leicesters and teams like that. They've just been coasting, and that I think has been really that bad indictment of the players. And again, like I get coaching is one thing, but if you're Alvarez and Mavropanos, there's no reason 2 of you should be so high up the pitch and to not have that awareness. I think is a big issue. And Kudus was one of our star players last season, and I made so much excuses for him this season. He was often being put on the left by Lopetegui, which isn't his better position. But I've just seen it. He's been one of the worst defenders for only turning up in the big games. Yeah. And I think he's like 3 goals or something this season. He's nowhere near been good enough. He had that big falling out with Lopetegui, and he just, I don't know, he never really recovered from that.
Do you think, though, Dan, with Mo, because I've heard that through quite a lot of people who've come on here, a couple of the boys who are part of E20 always said the same thing about Mo. Do you think, though, it's a confidence thing with him, though? But do you think that, obviously, people are saying he's going to go in the summer, yeah? And fair enough, if he does go, he goes. But if he is here next year, is it a confidence thing to say that it's a fresh slate for him? Like, because let's have it right. He's played on the left side. He's played right. He's played up front in the 2. He's never a left winger, ever, mate.
Yeah. No, 100%. Look, confidence is not a tangible thing, right? It's hard to measure it. It's hard to judge it. You can only go off maybe looking at body language or things like that. So when it comes to confidence, you have to give an element of benefit of the doubt that he just lacks confidence. So yeah, I can give him benefit of the doubt, but I can't say wholeheartedly what it is. We don't see him in training. We don't know these people. We're not around them. So it could be that. And I think, like a lot of people, there's going to be fresh starts in the summer. If he's here, then this is his chance to prove himself, and he does need to prove himself. And it comes to mentality as well. I think if you've got a big player mentality, you bounce back from a crap season like that.
Yeah, I completely agree. Obviously, Lopetegui done his time, got sacked after the Manchester City game, but there was a few defeats on the way. There was obviously the Leicester City defeat where Potter was there, and there's a photo of Potter and Steiden. What I'm going to mention Steiden. What do you make of what happened with Steiden, mate?
Yeah, the Steiden situation's a tricky one. Obviously, there's a lot of times I've defended him, but he has to take his share of the blame. Like I said, the state of this squad now, I think, goes on Steiden, it goes on Sullivan, it goes on Moyes, it goes on Lopetegui, because all of those people had hands in building this squad. Steiden, it's a tough one, because if you're going to give him that job, he should have that job with zero interference, right? At all. And that doesn't seem to be the case. We're hearing about Lopetegui. He didn't want Lopetegui.
Yeah.
He wanted Amorim, which he's not working out at the moment, but he's another one. He's going to get time whether people like it or not. So yeah, he's far from perfect. I think he's got a lot to answer for, but it does seem to be the player that we know for a certain, and this is what I've hated about West Ham. You go, oh, is he a Steiden player? Is he a Moyes player? Is he a Sullivan player? I hate that. But one player that we can pretty much confidently say is a Steiden player is Guilherme. Now, I think Guilherme has a lot of talent for the future. Whether we should have bought him, considering maybe he's not ready now, is another thing. But he has that pace and directness and explosiveness that we need in this team. And so I don't know whether this is a case of too many cooks. Like, he wanted to see the team in a certain way, but then he had to bow down to Sullivan's picks. He had to appease Lopetegui, which will get onto Kilman. That signing, clearly a Lopetegui signing. Yeah. So yeah, look, he's not perfect. I think he has to really take a massive share of the blame, but he had to do the job with one arm tied behind his back, I think.
Yeah, but do you think, though, Dan, that people sort of gassed up Steiden to a point because of the Moyes hatred? Like, they didn't like Moyes, but they confided in Steiden because they thought, Steiden's going to change the game because Moyes isn't changing the game, right? And listen, that's all well and good. You can all go and do that. You can believe in something. I'm more of a sort of person, prove to me that you're worth backing and I will back you. Do you know what I'm saying? That's how I work, sort of thing. I don't think Steiden done enough. Like the Lewis Guilherme signing for me made no sense. It was the first sign of the window, but we've just dropped 25 mil on a youngster, and we need a centre forward, we need defenders. Like, we're holding goals, and we're going out and buying a winger from Brazil, and there's no sort of plan to it. Yeah, I think Steiden become too involved in the round, and it was like he got involved with Moyes, he got involved with Lopetegui. And one of the key photos that I see, or videos that I see, was West Ham versus Spurs, and when we got hammered 4-1 up there, and you see him in the sort of tunnel, basically talking to all the players before they're about to go out to battle. That's bad enough when you've got a manager who don't know what he's doing, but when you've got a technical director trying to G the players up and all, that's like, especially against Spurs of all teams. Do you know what I'm saying? So I think with Steiden, I agree with you. Sullivan didn't allow him to do his job. And if Sullivan would have said to him, right, you go and pick the manager, there's no way he picks Julian Lopetegui. So, it's a tricky one for me. I think Stein let us down in certain aspects, but I don't think he helped himself also.
But just on that, I do think that's a culture clash, the being involved and all of that, because in Germany it seems to be more of a thing. I think the main thing why he was gassed up so much, more so than the Moyes thing, was the fact that he got the deals over the line, which was such a big issue for us in the past. And now we're seeing him going and getting these deals done and getting them done, relatively quickly, especially in that first season he's coming. Obviously, everyone was loving the plane jet pictures, even the people that ended up turning against him. Like, people was loving that, because it's like, wow, we're actually getting these deals done. We're not just being linked, and then we don't get it because of Sullivan and his antics, and no one we finally have someone serious that can go negotiate deals and get them done for the most part. And that was the big thing for me, what I loved about him, right? And what he should have been done is given full control and let him succeed or fail on his merit. So if he goes and signs a load of players and they don't work out, well, then you can say, look, you flopped here, and then we have to go. But we need that one, whether it's him or anyone else, there needs to be one person that oversees the football side, because people saying the manager should pick the players are such an old school mentality, because you sack a manager, you allow a manager to build a team in his image, right? Like saying we did with Moyes. Moyes was a manager, and this is why it would never work with Steidten and Moyes, because you've basically given Moyes a demotion then, really, because you're taking some of his role away. But you sack that manager, and then you just get another manager in to come and build a team in his image. Well, then he's got the players from the last manager that fit it. A different system, a different philosophy. So then you got to rebuild again. And then you go and do it again, rather than just go, this is how we play. We believe this coach will fit these players. Boom, you're in. Don't work out. Okay, we stick with that. This is our identity. And Sullivan, like he did, he just wanted. He's look, see, it didn't work. So give me the power again.
Yeah, I do agree with you on that. Towards the end, like, Sullivan sort of made sure that he had his full guy in place, and that was Steidten. Do you know what I'm saying?
He always has one.
He most certainly does, mate. Right, Steidten was no more, and then Graham Potter comes in, Dan, straight after the Man City game, leading up to the Aston Villa FA Cup game. First things first, Dan, what do you make of the appointment?
Yeah, I was really 50-50 on it at the time. I was. It's a real tough one, because it's perspective with Potter. When we're looking at him coming in, you either judge him on his Chelsea time, or you judge him on the good times at Brighton and what he's done in Europe and Swansea and things like that. But his most recent job was Chelsea. So there was a big part of me that wasn't excited, but there was a part of me that thought, you know what, like, maybe he can build something here. So yeah, like, it was one of them. Like, come in, I was like, you know what, let's give him a chance. And I cannot tell you how that first 45 minutes of that Villa game, I have not felt like that in ages watching West Ham. Like, I was so hyped, so excited, like, to see the way that we were playing football. We were pressing high up the pitch, winning the ball back in Villa's half. We were all over them. We were brilliant. And then 2 injuries derail us completely. I think we go on to win that game without them, the Somerville and the Fulkrug. But after that, I thought, okay, so this is the sign of what we can be under this manager, So, yeah, it was. But obviously, it didn't quite continue like that. I think it was quite lucky.
18 Premier League games, Dan. 5 Premier League wins under Potter. How do you assess it with him looking at it now?
Yeah, like, obviously we didn't get the new manager bounce that we wanted. You
Yeah.
know, that's what you hope for, right? A new manager comes in. We saw a bounce in performance immediately, right? Which I think derailed out. I think things might have been different if Somerville stayed fit. I mean, he was unbelievable in before he got
But
injured on Friday.
but was he more? But was Potter more organised though, Dan? Because Lopetegui wasn't so unorganised, and the structure was fucking all over the place with Lopetegui. Let's be honest. Like, was it more organised with Potter? So it's going to look better. Like, it's going to look 10 times better, isn't it?
Well, yeah. Well, the main thing is as well the defense
Mm.
was shored up. We weren't getting slapped by 3, 4, 5, 6,
Yeah.
conceding goals for fun. And any manager you come in and you inherit a team that's playing bad and leaking goals for fun, that's the first thing you focus on is the defense. So, which is what he did. However, what wasn't really able to fix to a high level was the chance creation. You know, that was a thing that was missing. So I said, like, when he come in, do you know what? And I've said it so many times, this is a once we're up pre-season, I don't care, right? Just give us, something. Whatever you do, as long as we don't go down, I'll give you the summer. So yeah, there's been positive signs, but still, then this is the thing where I get onto the players, because I've seen the same sideways backward passing that we saw under Moyes, under Lopetegui.
Yeah.
Like, so if I'm seeing the same thing under 3 different managers, then I'm really going to be looking at these players. And what I saw were players that maybe you could call it a lack of confidence. Maybe they just didn't have the bottle, because there's so many times where they just were scared to make a mistake. They were scared to play the sort of tricky pass and things like that. Carlos Soler with that open goal, Ramsdale, instead of going for the goal, he passes it backwards. I see it so many times. The lack of movement off the ball, which is obviously not allowing enough passing lanes and opening up space.
Yeah.
So we're just landing there. So that there's an element of laziness. And yeah, you want a coach to be able to come in and get around these players and make them believe. But I think a lot of them were a lost cause. A lot of them knew they weren't going to be here next year. So yeah, we had especially Soler, which, I mean, God, terrible. So yeah, could he have done better? 100%. I'm not all in. I'm not like going to sit here and say, Potter's going to be brilliant for us, but I'm not going to sit there and say, I think he needs to get sacked, like, because of these performances.
I think what
thing.
it is though, Dan. Right, I just want to say this quickly. Yeah, right. What it is that I think people are scared to criticize the man, and I don't understand why. Yeah, and I've noticed it on social media. I've noticed it on here that you can't say nothing bad about Potter because he's got the excuse of not having his own players. Now, there's certain games this year where West Ham have fell apart, literally fell apart. Brighton away, that springs to mind straight away. We actually played all right in the second half of that game, and we end up losing the game in space of 3 minutes. But it feels like to me the system. I don't know about you. How do you feel about the system that Potter plays? Because I don't like it. I'm totally against it. I've seen West Ham this season go 1-0 down. He's through the kitchen sink at gone 4-3-3, and we've just completely changed into a different side. I see it against Bournemouth. I see it against Nottingham Forest when Bowen scored, and then he goes 4-3-3, and we're all over him. I just feel with Potter that he's very reserved. Is he another Moyes to a point? Is he a better version of Moyes, where he's more he's pragmatic, but he's more stylish in doing so?
I think at the moment it's pragmatic out of necessity, because he started up with coming with the 5 at the back, right? And we played really well. I think we played that against Villa in both games, and we played well. And so we played that, right? And we'd started to get good performances and started to get some results. He switched to a back 4, and we completely fell apart, and we looked terrible. And I remember at the time saying, just go back to the back 5. Just go back to the back 5. So I think we just don't have right now the players that are capable of, and there's not enough trust. I don't trust our defense in a back 4. So yeah, I think it's that necessity. I don't expect him to be playing like this going forward. Again, let's talk about the lack of pace in the side as well. I think is a big problem. So yeah, like, look, yeah, you have to take criticism, and a lot of times, like, because look, you pick the team, you make the subs, I don't think he has the best to pick from, but there are definitely times where, like the full crew being dropped after he obviously called out after the Brighton game.
It's Brighton away, yeah.
Yeah, that's a big criticism now. He says, it wasn't for that reason. Okay, I'll take your word for it. But still, there's no reason you should have been dropping him after that. He should have started that game. So, yeah, you get criticism. Of course, you've got to get criticism. But the wider issue, like, is Graham Potter the biggest problem at West Ham right now? Obviously, look, Sullivan's always going to be the biggest problem. But let's put him aside. Between, like, the team and Potter, I don't think Potter is our biggest issue right now. I look at the team and I just have no confidence in these players. And I'm so disappointed, especially in Kilman as well, because I see a good player in there. And overall, he's just not lived up to it. 40 million pounds, 100 grand a week. At the moment, it's looking like a shocking bit of business just to appease a manager that's now no longer here, that didn't last 6 months. Like, that's...
I do get what you're saying with Kilman. I'm going to defend him slightly on this one because he's had multiple partners this year. He's the only one who's been fit for the whole season. And like Todibo, let's not talk about that fat bastard because he's like he can't even get on the pitch and stay on it long enough to have a good game.
I don't know.
So Kilman, I can sort of back him to a point. Well, he hasn't been wonderful. 40 million is too much, but I think we all knew that last year, Dan. When we was paying 40 million, was going, yeah, this is a bit strong here. Right, this is English tax all day. But don't forget last year when we did sign Kilman, we was dealing with 3 clubs. There was us, there was Maidenhead, and there was Wolves. So there was 3 clubs involved in the deal. So that's why the price was going up. So I think
I just would have swerved it. I'd just say Lopetegui, sorry, mate, but it's too much for a centre back.
Yeah,
and then on top of that, we paid you got 35 mil for Todibo, so you got 75 million on 2 centre backs that have conceded an ungodly amount of goals.
True.
Yeah, obviously Mavropanos is a part of that as well. It's mad.
Who's faster, James or Todibo? Me on the treadmill, man.
Do you know it's so frustrating about Todibo because I see a real club quality player in there, and you see that game against Ipswich. Night and day, like 2 instances where he puts a tackle in, he wins the ball back, and he starts to run. And I don't know if anyone remembers it, but it was such a brilliant bit of defending. I was fucking hyped, and then the goal happens, and he just he obviously thinks the geezer's going to run straight at him or something.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? Take a shot. So he does the whole let me put my knee to the side type of thing, and the guy. He telegraphs it like
that was definitely Sunday League, mate. I remember doing that back in the day, mate, in school.
Yeah, so it's frustrating with him.
It is. Before we get on to some players and obviously the future, what do you expect from Potter next year, mate?
So I expect a team that does not just pass it sideways and backwards, maybe takes more risk. I expect him to build a younger, fitter team, faster team. And I expect him to learn a lot of lessons from this season, and to know the players that he can rely on, the ones that need to go, So going into that, I don't expect us to play like we did this season at all. If we're sitting there and we're still doing that slow, predictable build-up play, like I can't handle it. And this is what really drives me mad. And this is when I look at a player thing, because under Moyes, there was that period where we was playing counter-attacking football. People used to really focus on possession-based, right? To criticize Moyes. Oh, we want possession football. It's not about possession. It's about what you do with it. And last season, Moyes went into this more possession. I mean, we still weren't dominating possession, but we was just controlling it and passing it sideways and backwards. And I much rather just play direct counter-attacking football. Like when we had Lingard and stuff like that, I was much more entertained by that than sitting here and just put like 1,000 passes. When Man City do it, it looks brilliant because they've got world-class players. They can ping, 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 ping.
Yeah.
But we just stand there. Who should I pass to? Fucking pass it backwards. And it drives me insane. So if Potter's still playing that next season, then I am going to turn. Because there's no excuses. You don't expect you to be dominating games. I don't expect you to play like Barcelona, but I expect a a more direct style of football and less boring than we're seeing. So if I don't see that, I'm going to turn. Unless we're in like Champions League. If we're playing this shit football, but we're like top four and we're winning stuff, I'll bite my tongue, you know.
I completely agree with you. We need to see a faster side. We need to see a side that is on the front foot. Like, that's the main thing. This passing sideways and back and passing out the back. I think there's a lot of issues with our back line and our goalkeeper. I think if you're going to do that, you need to change the goalkeeper, because Ariola's not the guy. He can't play at the back with his feet. So I need to see something next year. Like, I'm going to give him 10 games next year, and I'll probably know where I'm at with him. Yeah. And if he can kick into gear next year, it's either going to go one or two ways. It's either going to be an amazing season. West Ham are going to probably hit like top 10, maybe a bit better than that, or it's going to go the other way and we're going to be struggling again. So, the
transfer window's key regardless.
Yeah.
Like, again, I can't blame him. If we don't really back him, then it's hard for me to get onto him. But all I'll say is give me that first 45 minutes against Villa in the Cup next season. I get you can't play like that for 90 minutes because we ain't got the legs for it, but give me that enough in phases of the game, enough times next season, I'll be on the Potter train.
Yeah, see, I'm with you on that. Like, as long as I can see something progressing, then we've got half a chance. You know what I'm saying? And obviously, it needs to be backed in the window. Before we get to Sullivan, because that's going to be an interesting discussion, what's the worst defeat for you this year, Dan?
Do you know what? It's between two. I mean, I never like losing to Arsenal like by that many goals, especially after last season under Moyes, which killed me. However, the most angry I've been in a long time is that Brighton game. I was livid to throw away a game like that in the late stages of the game. It was unforgivable. Honestly, I wanted to just bin the lot of them after that. So, yeah, that's got to be the worst. There's no reason why we shouldn't have seen that out. No reason at all. But again, it's the players, what they do, and full crew summed it up perfectly. Half the team want to go and keep chasing and keep pushing up. The rest want to just sit back and defend it, invite pressure on. And that, I mean, he became a sort of a bit of a hero in that moment, full crew, but it summed it up, mate. That's the worst.
Yeah.
Sickening that was.
Yeah, I've got to agree. I said it the other day on a video that I did. Chelsea at home, I thought was embarrassing. The way we just stood there and they just didn't even get out of first gear. Brighton away, I think, is painful, right, to go and lose the way we did there. And I actually thought we played well in the second half in that game. Remember that game? Like, we played all right. I think Everton away, we give it away. Again, Southampton, same thing. But then there was games like Leicester away where we got completely done by one of the worst teams in the league. So, you know, it's a season to forget. Right, let's talk about Sullivan, mate. What are you saying about this fucker?
Oh, mate, I'm just so tired of this man, honestly. The fact that he is back in charge of our transfers, he's negotiating our transfers. This man who made pornos in the 70s has deemed himself fit to run the football operations of this club. It disgusts me. It really does. And every success that we have had has been in spite of Sullivan. He's just stumbled upon it like that. And that's the only thing I can hope for the future, is that we stumble across success in spite of Sullivan, because he never signed Moyes with a vision that he's the guy. He's going to win us a trophy. He's going to get us European football. It was, we have to go back to him because we need stability. To stay up. And, stability. That's what it was about. So, and the thing is, when he kept us up, it was like, well, we let him go last time, so let's just keep him. And that's his problem. He's not the genius he thinks he is. He signs one player, like he signed Lanzini, and Lanzini turned out to be a good player. And then that gives him this false confidence that he knows what he's doing. And same with Moyes. I bet he took a massive amount of credit for that trophy win. I'm sure he did.
Well, he was on TalkSport the next day trying to flog Declan Rice. I will never forget that. Like,
yeah. Oh my God! Like, he couldn't even give us 24 hours to just enjoy it without trying to sell our captain off.
I know.
I
I will never forget that day. Yeah, because obviously the night I went to the pub, watched the game, which is 5 minutes from the training ground. I was in the Avering Well in Romford, and basically come home, celebrated, and woke up next morning. Talk sport. David Sullivan, he's on there, saying about the trophy win, and he mentions about Declan Rice is an £100 million player, and that's basically puts him up on offer. Basically, on the Talksport interview, and there's people in Prague, literally getting on the plane, don't even know what's going on, and there's a parade on that day and all. So,
Yeah.
Geezer's a wrong one. He's absolute wrong one. Do you reckon he's going to get involved with Macaulay this year, Carl Macaulay, and influence transfer targets, mate?
Yeah, he won't be able to stay away at all. He won't. And this is the problem. Cooley will go and do his data analysis. Potter will sort of say what players he wants, but there'll always be a a favored agent that comes along and goes, oh, one of my clients, he could be available for the right price. What's that fucking prick's name that he loves? Will Salthouse. Will
Salthouse, yeah.
Salthouse special. Yeah, there'll be a little Will Salthouse coming along, whispering in his ear, saying, "Oh, you want to get my player? I've got a player at Burnley you might like." I'm sure we actually what's his name? Cornet was a Will Salthouse. It might have been, but yeah, that's it. So yeah, he won't be able to. He won't help himself, and that's why I can't go into the summer with confidence, because he will just get involved. So I'm just trying to count the days to think how much longer can he do this physically before we are free of this clown.
Honestly,
And
mate,
it's like the Millwall thing as well. Millwall potentially getting a Saudi takeover. Like, we are so he's always hiding, mate.
Turkey, mate, don't do it. Don't do it to us, son. I agree with you with Sullivan. I always have when it comes to him. He's a fucking wrong un. I'm going to be honest. I think the way he's treated people this year in regards to the concessions, the way at the start of the season, where that was going on, like the concessions thing, then they've sort of pulled back on it. Brady's no different though. Like, I'm not being funny. We can't go at Sullivan without going at her, and she's another wrong one. But what do you make, Dan, of all the people that are sort of walking away from West Ham? Obviously, you're a day going fan. You go there, you cover it with the boys on West Ham Fan TV. There's a lot of people walking away, mate. And I've noticed over the years that people are starting to go, you know what, I ain't going to do this because they're taking the piss.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I know a lot of people. I'm one of the people that's considering walking away, giving up my season ticket. And there's a lot of people are, I think, fed up and don't want to put any money into Sullivan's pockets. I think he does need to feel it, to feel the amount of people that aren't renewing, because they're tired of the fuck about with the concessions. He's interfering with transfers, and just how generally poorly he runs this club, and what we've been given, what's being served up for us. And for me, I've never really enjoyed it over there. Of course, there's been special nights, Sevilla, and there's always them nights where in the stadium, in that moment, it's great. But it's not enough for me. Like, Upton Park wasn't just in my seat. It weren't just that experience. It was everything. It was the walk to the pitch. It was the pubs around it. It was, the being in the concourses. That was Upton. We weren't just the 90 minutes in my seat, and that's the problem. I've got quite good seats at West Ham. I'm like 6 rows from the front by the corner flags. We're right close. Good people. I sit with Scott, and now I just got to a point, and it was this. I was like, why am I paying money for this? Like, what is the point? I don't enjoy this. A lot of the time it's, I come and I'm doing it for YouTube. I'm just like, I just don't care. And I really hope that a lot of people don't renew so they can sit there and really, because this 50,000 wait list is a load of bollocks.
Completely agree. Yeah,
that's a lie. So we'll see, won't we? Because I know there's me, my uncle, my mum, few other people around me. Nick Tucker might not. Some people may cave in and go, I'll give it another year. I know people like that. Another guy near us. I know there's so many people. And that's just in my little area.
What's the reasoning for it, though, Dan? Why do you think people are walking away?
I think it's mixed. It's mixed. Like, so there's people that when we moved to Upton Park, some people didn't come across. They gave it up because they just didn't want to leave Upton Park. Then some people gave it a season. This ain't for me. And people started to slowly drop off, right? Because they just didn't like the stadium. I think this season, with how boring we have been to watch, how unpleasant it has been, one of the worst seasons. It's really, I think, led to people reflecting like their life choices of, what is the point? Because, and this is the thing, like when people are like, well, you only moan about the stadium when we're not playing well. Well, yeah, because we're not going to start winning everything and we're beating Sevilla and we go, oh, that's brilliant, but the stadium's shit, is it? You're not going to be, no one wants to focus on negatives when we're winning. But but the negatives compound and you really notice them more. And you just sit there and look around and go, why do I do this? Like, what am I spending this money for? This is never going to be my West Ham that I loved. This is never going to be the same club. I'll always love West Ham, but this experience, I'll never get the experience that I had back. So I think people just was like, got to that breaking point. I think that's this season was the final straw for a lot of people. And I think that's why a lot of people ain't renewing. So it's not just like, oh, just because this season's bad. I think this was it. This was the realization. Because we could because this is the thing, and some people go, oh, like, if you give it up, and what if we get good again? And if we get good again, and I can't get a ticket again, I don't care. Like, West Ham are good. It's never going to be the experience I want it to unless they knock down the stadium and all of that stuff. So I'm not fussed if we have a brilliant season and we're like top 4 or whatever, and I'm not there. As long as West Ham are successful, I'm happy. I don't have to be there because, like I said, the experience ain't for me.
I think what you just said there's absolutely spot on. Like, word for word, I completely agree. I've been saying this for a long, long time. I never renewed mine after Upton Park. I wouldn't set foot in Stratford because of the stuff that basically Sullivan was coming out with, because it was just all a blag. It was all a blag to get us over there. We got over there a year too early, wasn't even ready, and it don't even feel like a football stadium. It just feels like a big arena where you're just going to watch an event. I look at the situation with the fans now. It is heartbreaking a little bit, seeing people walking away, but I think this is the right move. The only issue I've got with that is that, does he just fill that seat with people just for the sake of filling the seat? And they're just not West Ham fans, they're just day trippers, and then it becomes like a franchise football club. Do you know what I'm saying? It doesn't, because West Ham's built on spirit, like Cockney spirit, London, like the vibe of the East End, like the Cockney roots, basically. And for it to go and fall apart and just be like a franchise football, it'd be heartbreaking to see.
Yeah,
I do feel, just want to land on this down. I'll let you land on anything else you want to say, mate. One thing I will say is I respect all the people that have been going, like Dan and obviously Nicky and all the boys have been up and down the land funding this club, because I tell you what, this club, we love this club, but this owner doesn't give us nothing back, Dan. He doesn't, mate. It gives us a lot of hurt. And the ground hasn't really changed. It ain't going to change till we own it. The training ground ain't going to change. And I'm so grateful that people are starting to see what the real problem is. If I'm being honest, like, shout out to Nick Hillerton, Claret and Booze, who's doing this sort of thing about getting them out and this sort of sign the petition, because I think it's about time we all come together and look at it and go, Sullivan, you might own the club, but we will outlive you forever. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Go on, Dan.
Yeah, no, you're right. And what you say is true. It's sad. It's sad because we've lost so many of the hardcore West Ham fans over there, and we're losing even more. And what is that going to mean for the club if you've got, like I said, day trippers, like neutral fans, which we've seen so many times before? But this is the thing, the burden of that responsibility shouldn't be on the fans. It should be on the ownership to make the real fans, the West Ham fans, want to stay, want to come to the stadium. And I haven't seen them do nearly enough. Right, we're going to do pre-poured pints at half time. We're going to have some flag wavers are going to come out. I'm sorry, like, this flag waving shit, that doesn't move me 1 inch. Like,
yeah,
this, like, get some people looking bored, like standing waving flags. So there's not been anything nearly done enough for them to want us keep us there. So if we're no longer there, and the crowd dies even more, that's on them, and they've killed the club. They've killed the heart and soul. And that Spurs game, I always say this, Spurs at home has to be the worst atmosphere I've ever heard for a West Ham Spurs game. That's when it was so eye-opening. I looked around, I was like, wow, like this is West Ham versus Tottenham. It's dead, mate. It's dead. So it could be worse next season. But if they put out a team that excites people, who knows?
Yeah, who knows indeed. Any final words from you, Dan, before we wrap this up, mate? Anything you want to say? Anything on your mind?
Yeah, just look. Obviously, that miserable season's behind us. Let's try and put it behind us now, and try and just give the manager a chance to see what he can do in the summer. Like, he's not going anywhere until at least like end of next season, because they've got the break clause. Yeah, so you better believe that it doesn't matter what you say, unless it looks like we're getting relegated, he will still be the manager. So let's just give him a chance and see what he can do and what he can put together with a pre-season, all of that stuff, and be hopeful. Like I said, it's always going to be looking a bit depressing with Sullivan in charge. But again, like I said, under Moyes, in spite of Sullivan, we achieved something. So hopefully we can stumble upon something next season. And then hopefully one day we'll get the takeover we so richly deserve and get an ambitious owner that's ready to really take this club where it should be, because we have a massive fan base and we've had too many clubs overtaking us, and we'll have our day, hopefully.
Completely agree. And very well said. Go and follow Dan on his channel, Lawless Live TV. Also follow him on West Ham Fan TV if you haven't already done so. I want to thank Dan for coming on. Really do appreciate it. And do you know what? It is an end of a season where it's been draining, but there is new, fresh hope. Like, do you know what I'm saying? And like, all we can do is hope now. Like, there's nothing else we can do. As you say, Sullivan ain't going to sack Potter. Potter's here, like, for the duration of next season. And I think whatever happens next season, we're going to have to go through it. It's either going to be amazing or it's going to be absolutely shy, and we're going to have to suffer it like fans. Smash a like on the video. Subscribe to E20 Zone TV. Subscribe to Lawless Live TV. And, you know, we will see what happens in the future. But from me and Dan, take care of yourselves out there. All the best. Keep the faith. Peace.